I've been in Sweden many times. I just was there like 3 months ago giving seminars. I have many friends there. Was the first person when I started really traveling for seminars out of Brazil. There was the first place, Sweden and Finland. I've been in Finland for I think 11 times. I've been in Sweden for like 4 to 5 times. I've been in Denmark. I've been everywhere. That I have friends there forever. They are my friends. They are big friends. They come to Brazil. They stay with me. So maybe because people know me there, and he's one of the best and the best in the division for sure. Scandinavian guy. They just think about this fight. That's the reason.
So skipping ahead a little bit, there's a lightweight title fight coming up between Rafael dos Anjos and Donald Cerrone. Obviously, dos Anjos a Brazilian. But how do you see that fight going down, and who would you pick to win?
It's a tough fight. Tough fight to say. I think Rafael is the champion.
That's what we're trying to do.
I think he has the
how it works against
yes, I think he will win. It will be a very, very tough fight.
And then lastly, the UFC is naming rooms after fighters in its new headquarters in Las Vegas.
What?
They're naming rooms in their new headquarters after fighters. If they were to name a room after you, what would they name it?
I don't know, something has to do with my love of jiu-jitsu, of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, something about that. Where is that?
It's the new headquarters in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Maybe the Demian Maia Jiu-Jitsu studio.
Would be nice, would be great, I would be very honored if they do that.
Thank you very much.
Speaking of, you said you spent time in Sweden. We've actually heard about that, and there is actually a rumor that's been around that there was one of the first times you were in Sweden that there was like some kind of a fight or somebody got aggressive with you and there was a knife involved. Can you sort of like...
Yeah, that's old stuff, I had a problem in a nightclub and the guys tried to... It was not even Swedish guys, or foreigners, but they live there. Some immigrants, they live there and they have some gangs and they start to fight with me, and one guy stabbed me with the knife, but then they run away. That was crazy. My friends from Brazil, they say you go to Sweden and you get stabbed there. I'm never in Brazil, but I never was like a street fighter, or I never fight in streets.
Yeah.
And this time the guy came to over me to try to do something, and I need to react. And I started to fight, by myself with like 6 guys. But I didn't see one guy on the side stab. Well, he didn't stab me. They just run away. And that's it.
But it was a serious injury, or?
No, it wasn't. I was lucky. The stab was going up, and just cut like skin and fat, and little muscle, but nothing bad. But was something worrying, something.
Did they catch the guys who did it?
I don't think so. At least not the police.
Okay. All right. Well, last question. Like you said, this is a fight that people are looking forward to. For those who there's so many fights on these weeks, so many fights, so many big fights. Why should the fans be sure to tune in for your bout with Gunnar Nelson?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
There's so many fights this week, so many big fights, that some people might miss some. But why should the fans be sure to watch your fight with Gunnar Nelson?
Because I think, that's the clash of, good grapplers, good BJJ fighters. And all the fights, will be good, very good. All the fights are good MMA fighters, but the best grappling fight inside the MMA will be our fight, I think. So the guys like grappling, like jiu-jitsu, which I'm sure many fans love it. They gotta watch our fight, I'm sure.
Thank you very much.
You have some fans in Sweden, BJJ fans. They think that you and Gunnar, you should start a fight on your knees. What do you think?
If he wants, you ask him. If he wants, we can do, no problem.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Gunnar told us recently that he wanted to fight you because you're a great test, but he also wanted to fight you now because he believes you're on your way out, that you won't be fighting much longer. How do you feel about that? Is that true?
What do you mean longer? I hope to fight at least 3 more years. So I think it's not really long, you know. It's not like 10 years, but I think, you know, at least 3 more years I hope to be fighting.
Well, I think that's longer than what he was getting at.
Yeah. You know, I mean, can be even more. You know, I don't think about retirement because every fight, you know, every camp, like I said, I feel that I'm getting better technique, better fighting. And every camp, even physically, you know, I'm getting better. So, and now with this anti-doping stuff, you know, I think it will be even more fair, and it will give me more time, you know, to keep fighting. So, if I keep, you know, this passion for fighting, for training, I will keep fighting. When the passion is gone, then I will stop. Or if the injuries don't let me fight, something like that, I will stop. But, you know, for now, I don't have, you know, any reasons to think about that because I'm just getting better.
You are, and you know, you're a UFC veteran, but you do seem like you've got a second wind. I mean, that you are getting better. Is there something that's changed, or something that just started to click? I mean, what would you attribute that to?
I think, you know, many things. Since I dropped to 170, you know, I had Eduardo Alonso, my manager, to be my head coach, and
Love him.
Yeah, and he you know, did a lot of changes on my training camp, and it makes he's like a good director. He's able to pull the better of Demian Maia, you know, the better fighter that I can be. And also, I think I'm more and more professional, and of course, you know, besides everything, more experience, and I think just my body, you know, it's different. I don't get hurt so often, and when I get hurt, I really heal very fast, so I don't have too much problem with injuries.
You have a lot of perspective on MMA. Recently, you fought some younger fighters. What do you think of this next generation of fighters compared to, you know, the veterans that you've competed against?
The new generation, there's no more space for you know, a guy who is just good in something. You know, he needs to be good in everything, but not just be good in everything, but understand his style and adapt his style for the fight. So if he's like a stand-up fighter, he needs to have a good wrestling and good jiu-jitsu to survive, but he needs to understand how he is gonna fight. And if he's a grappler, he needs to understand that his boxing doesn't need to be great, but needs to be very effective to the grappling game. So I think that's maybe the transition is that the fighters are, you know, is the future now, and not the future, but, you know, the right now is those transition and how to adapt your game to the MMA game.
Is there anyone that reminds you of yourself? And you know, who do you think has the best jiu-jitsu right now?
Right now, there's many guys, you know, like, for example, for my generation, Jacaré, you know, Jacaré, I think, Verdun, of course, you know, the champion. So all those guys, we are fighting together, you know, we are competing the same events, we are traveling together, so, you know, it's great to see them there, and I know their jiu-jitsu is great, you know, I know they really have, you know, great jiu-jitsu.
Now back to your fight, you know, Gunnar, he's mentioned that he wants to test the jiu-jitsu, he does want to keep it on the ground, but, you know, he's also a great striker. I mean, do you really believe he's going to stay on the ground, or do you think he's going to try to sneak in some, you know, something standing up?
I really don't know. You know, he said he wants to go to the ground, but I really don't know because, like you said, he has a good striking, and maybe he think he can do better with striking. So, you know, let's see if he wanna really test himself. Let's see what he's gonna do.
And you just mentioned Jacare. What do you think of his fight against Romero, Yoel Romero?
I think Jacare will win. You know, he's in a momentum that, you know, it's very hard to beat him. He's so powerful and so technical and, you know, so natural athlete, and so much experience. We fought, twice 10 years ago, and he's a different specimen.
And you fought Weidman. Do you think he's going to keep his belt on Saturday?
I think so. I think it will be a pretty tough fight for him. I think, look, he has his chance for sure, but Weidman, I think he's the favorite.
And last question, Jose Aldo is rumored that he may retire after this fight. I was just wondering, what are your thoughts of him as a fighter, his legacy? How will you remember Jose Aldo if he does retire?
He's one of the greatest for sure. And what I remember about him is how humble, how rumble he is. Because, once I remember I went to Nova União, to his academy, to talk to Dedé, his coach. We were talking about something. I was in Rio de Janeiro. And I saw him after his fight, helping the other fighters and teaching them, and like kind of running the training, and do a little bit of sparring with some fighter who was going to fight. So you don't see champions doing that so often. Normally most guys are more selfish, or they just wanna rest. They don't care. And that image of him, so rumble and being, after being champion for so many years, helping, his partners, for me was the most impressive thing that I saw. And example for me also, to follow, his steps. If I'm, I want to be champion one day. If I get the belt, I want to be like he is. But I don't expect, he to retire. I hope he keeps fighting.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.